Hello, my name is Doug Hubble and welcome to Astrophotography Tutorials. Today I have a special guest star, Christopher Gomez, and today Christopher is going to continue his second part in processing galaxies. If you haven't seen the first part, he covers how he processes the first step in Pixinsight, and now he's going to show you how he does this in Photoshop.
Go ahead and open our images that we had previously worked on in Pixinsight and drag them over. This is our background image, our M81 and M82. And what we're going to be doing is merging all three images together and kind of taking the best features of each image and using those. So having the background here, we'll work on this by just going to layers and adding a layers adjustment. And basically what I like to set my black point at, if you kind of look over here in the info button, kind of looking around in the dark spaces, we're in the high 40s to mid 40s, and so I'll click here on our black point and click an area there around 47 and start lowering that black point. And I will set it usually anywhere from 30 to 35, and there at 34 I think it looks great. So again, if we toggle things on and off, we darken things just enough to where it looks pretty dark but not completely pitch black, and that's just the level that I personally like to set it to. So let's go ahead and set that same level again to both of our other galaxy images, and let's click on our levels there and search for an area there in the same vicinity, and let's turn that to about 34. And so our last image, we've already figured out that that was about 15, so we'll pick 15. And since both of these images are essentially the same, you should be able to just see only a change in the galaxy from this galaxy and that galaxy just kind of switching over. And as we go to our background, the only thing you should see changing is not the actual level of the background, but just the intensity of the stars and the galaxy. So what we will do is we will go ahead and merge these together and copy them merged. And an easy way you can do that is hit Control A, which selects everything, and then holding Control and Shift while you press C copies everything merged. And we're going to hit our background and hit paste there, and that's going to paste that one on top. And we'll go to our other galaxy and do the same thing, and we'll hit Control V and paste that on top here. Now again, what we would like to preserve is the low level noise of the background, but really bring in our galaxies and how they're shining real nice and bright. So what we're going to do is work one galaxy at a time. And if you remember, this image was particularly great for M81, and our other layer on top is particularly good for M82. So let's go ahead and apply a layer mask on top of that, and you can double click on the mask and hit invert, and basically this black mask over here that you have is hiding everything. But we know that there are great things that we did to that galaxy that we want to show through, and so we'll go ahead and color that in with a white color, which shows the mask, which shows what's underneath the mask. And I will kind of use a larger paintbrush size to kind of color that through. So while having the mask clicked, you can go ahead and color kind of all around our galaxy where we've had it before and where we know there's great stuff hiding there. And you can easily just kind of go right around the outside of your galaxy, and then hit, while holding Alt, click on the mask, and then you can go back and color all that in, and that ensures you have everything there. So click back on the image, you can toggle things off and toggle things on, and you can see the galaxy is showing through very nicely there. So we're going to go ahead and kind of make this more subtle by applying a Gaussian blur so that our actual galaxy merges with our background crate. But actually, if you can see here, it's blurring the actual image because what we want to blur is the actual mask. So make sure you have the mask clicked and hit Gaussian blur there. And when you back out, you can see where our mask is there, and again with no blur there. And if we apply anything between let's say 60 there, looks great, or anywhere between 50 and 60, and we apply our mask, our blur there, and basically it blends things in just a little bit better where it's not so drastic of a change. Okay, so that's what we like about M81. But as you remember, doing the deconvolution and not using the custom point spread function and the star mask, we get some of these kind of rings around our star. So we're going to go ahead and hide those again because the background image that we use does not have any of that applied to it. So you should not, again, just make sure that you are on the actual layer mask. So undo, just step back and make sure you click on the mask. And again, by hiding, and go ahead and make sure it's dark again, black, and hit the stars by hiding these again, you're showing what's in the background level, and that did not have the deconvolution applied. So again, only because this is a small galaxy, and really I can manually come in here and just click on a couple of stars to correct this problem. I didn't do the long deconvolution step, and mainly because I can easily just correct those couple of stars that were in there. So I'm going to go ahead and turn on now the top layer, which is M82, and again apply a mask and invert the mask to cover things up. And we'll go over here and we'll switch colors to white and go ahead and increase our paintbrush size to a little bit bigger, and that way we can go ahead and color our galaxy here and show all the nice things that it has hidden in here. And again, you can hit Alt and click on the mask, and you can kind of make sure and this is all colored in and blends in very easily. If you don't like, any rough edges, you can go ahead and switch it back to the dark color, the black color, and hit cancel there. Just switch this over and back to white, and you can see it there. Now again, I'm going to hit the actual blur, the Gaussian blur function, and in this case you will be able to see it over here, and this is at no blur at all, and at 45 or about 55, anywhere around there, and it's gonna allow you to kind of fade that image into your background image. So now that you have both of these turned on, basically you're able to see what you can add. So on the left over here on M81, we can go ahead and show everything that we did there, and then for M80, let's turn that back on, and then for M82 you can turn it back on, and you can see all the great things we've done for M82 there. And if you zoom out, we've basically merged the best of all three images into one image here. Okay, so our next step is we're going to copy all these layers and then paste everything that's merged on top, and you can easily do that again by hitting Control A to select all, Control Shift and C, and then paste that right on top. So what we will do next is a little bit of noise reduction, and if you can see here, we have a little bit of different color noise, different color pixels that comes about. And so what we'll do is use Carboni's tools, action tool sets, to do a color blotch reduction. So I'll hit play there, and it will kind of do things automatically with some presets that he has designed specifically for astrophotography, and it will kind of save you some time of you having to do all these things all by yourself. So if you can see there, things kind of subtle. You have a lot of color kind of noise that is present there, and if you toggle it on, it turns more to just different tones of gray. Alright, so one thing that the color blotch reduction one thing that the color blotch reduction does, it sometimes does affect colors in the nebulosity or galaxies that you have. So what I'll do is actually apply a mask and color that back in dark to kind of hide and protect whatever I did there in that layer, in that color blotch reduction, so that it actually does not affect my galaxy or anything that's on there. So again, I will do a rough kind of outline and then click on the actual mask, and then you can easily come back in and kind of paint over this, and these will be the areas it's hiding from the color blotch reduction. And again, we'll kind of move this all around here, and that will be great. So again, we'll copy everything now here, again merge, and just paste it right on top, and we'll do our second form of noise reduction. And again, now this is to kind of take all these little different pixels of grays and dark grays and black and merge them and kind of smoothen them out. So we'll do the deep space noise reduction, which automatically takes into account just the darkest parts of your image and uses a mask to protect your stars and your galaxy. If this were a nebula, it would do the same, protecting that nebula. But you can see here, if you toggle things off, you can see all the noise that we get, different pixels of shades of gray. And if we turn it on, it does a real nice job at smoothing and making things a little bit smoother. So now if we go ahead and zoom back out, that's too much. There we go. If we zoom back out, or zoom a little bit back in there, we've reduced a lot of the noise. Now, one thing that you have to make sure is that you go back and convert this image to 16 bits whenever you use any of Carboni's tools, because they actually do convert or switch your image to an 18-bit mode, and you want to make sure you stay on 16 bits. Okay, so what we've done currently is merged our three images, and done some noise reduction. But what we will do is now sharpen our galaxies just a tiny bit more. I mean, they're looking great, but we can do just a tiny bit better. So let's go ahead and just duplicate our last layer about 2 more times. And we're going to put those two images by highlighting them together. We're going to put them into a group so that we can see what we're going to do here. So we're going to click on our first image, and we're going to select filter. I'm going to go to other, and we're going to hit high pass. Now this high pass filter, I'm going to set this to about 1 pixel, and this, if you see kind of closely here, is only affecting the fine detail, kind of the smaller things in the galaxy. And I'm going to hit OK, and then set this to overlay. And now this only affects kind of, again, finer details, small details that are very kind of subtle to see. And what we'll do next is going to go ahead and click on our second image that we have there, and then hit a filter, other, high pass, and then we're going to bump this up now to our kind of larger structures, and we're going to go all the way to 15, about 15.5. Looks good there. And basically what we want is to kind of show all these nice dust lanes that show through. And we're going to hit OK. And for the darker images, the darker details, we're going to hit soft light. And again, Why I put these together in a group, because I can easily collapse it and then kind of turn things off and things on all together at once. Again, this applies everything to the entire image, and if you can see, it kind of makes the stars look a little bit dark and have these kind of darker halos that I don't like. And really all I wanted to do was kind of bring out some of these spiral arms and dust lanes. And so what we'll do is apply an actual layer mask and then invert this to hide it. And again, what we'll do is we'll pick out just the areas that we want to bring out. So let's go ahead and go with a smaller brush here and zoom in a little bit closer. And again, with the brush set to white and our mask hiding everything, we are going to go ahead and color things in, and it should start to show some of these nice dark dust lanes kind of popping out. And again, if you toggle things off, you can see how things look blurry there somewhat, but if you turn that back on, you can really see how great our galaxy really starts to look nice and sharp there. And then we'll go here to M81 and gonna just kind of paint over our dust lanes, which is where they're gonna get sharp. We'll paint over some of this nebulosity area where we have our spiral arms, and come back over some of these areas and highlight those, and just kind of selectively pick out what you want to show and sharpen in this galaxy. Now if you toggle things off, and if you pay particular attention to these dust lanes, when you turn them on, they really start to sharpen up. And again, if you hold Alt and hit click, you can see what is being colored in and what is being left out there. So you click on and off, and basically you've sharpened up just certain parts of our galaxies that we like. And if we zoom in just a little bit more and turn things off, you can see how things are a little bit fuzzy and blurry, and we sharpen things up. Our dust lanes really become sharp and prominent, and that's what we like to see. So as far as Photoshop goes, this image is done, and what we really want to do is now add color. So we're going to go back and save this image, and we're going to save this as M81, M82, and we're going to put Photoshop merge and unclick that box and hit save. And so this image does not have a great deal of color, and I found that Pixinsight does a real nice job at adding color and saturation. So let's go ahead and open that recent image that we've merged and saved, and let's go ahead and drag this over to the corner and go ahead and expand the image there. Now again, what we're going to do first is extract a luminance mask by hitting this icon there, and this again is going to allow us to apply color really only to the galaxy and stars, and not, it's going to block out everything in our deep space background. So how we apply our luminance mask is we drag the mask out there to the empty space, and again, remember, do not delete our luminance mask, because we will want to keep it there so the program knows the information, where the information from the mask, where to get it from. So we'll hit mask and hit show mask to kind of be able to see what is in our image and not have all that red color shown. And the way you can tell if an image has a mask, you'll see this kind of brown color to your tab. Again, there, if you didn't have a mask, it will be gray. So I'll go ahead and just quickly reapply that mask on there, and it'll turn gray. But since I have the mask as show mask off, it won't show. So if you show the mask, but I usually have it off so that I can see what we're doing. So if we go ahead and go to our Process Explorer here, we can go ahead and open the Curves Transformation function here, which I have already opened here on the side, and we will double click that. Alright, and that will open our window here, and we'll hit this S for saturation, and what we can do is we can preview it live and see the amount of saturation that it's doing. And what I usually like to do is drag this just right down to this point to apply a good amount of saturation. I'll also hit this C component and bring it up pretty much up to where the line intersects these two points here. And again, you can toggle things off and on, and you can see how it's really only applying the color saturation to the actual galaxy and the stars. And so I'll hit the execute button there and let it apply its color saturation and see what it does for us. Alright, so zooming in here, and here you can easily undo what you just did. So you can hit the undo button and you can see how there's not a lot of color associated with our galaxies, but if we redo it, you can see how some of these nice purples and pinks from our nebulosity and our stars are starting to gain some color. Now you can actually, if you're not happy with that initial saturation, you can go ahead and apply saturation again, and what I usually do is just this time only apply the saturation anywhere between this point, and I'll go about halfway or so there and hit apply to just add some more color to our galaxies and stars. Alright, and again, if you hit the undo button here, if you hit that undo button there, you can see how the saturation decreased, and if you redo it, you can start to see that yellow in that core, and really those purples really starting to pop out, and some of these reds over here. Now the last thing I will do is I will selectively choose colors in this galaxy to increase its saturation. And so we'll go to Process Explorer, drop down all the way to color saturation, which I have already opened over here, so I'll double click and have this open. Now what you will need, what I want to do is increase the pink tones here in our nebula that are in this galaxy, in our hydrogen alpha. So if you were to just raise that level there, it raises the whole curve, and really that's not what I'd like to do. So what I'd like to do is actually set some anchor points that are going to hold this line, and so you click some points on this line to hold the rest of all these colors in place, and that way you can just raise the pinks and purples up and down and not have to worry about all the color saturating. Now if you do a live preview here, you can't really tell much about what's going on in this image. So again, you can go ahead and create a small preview window by holding Alt and clicking N, and then just making a square box over what you want to preview, and hit the preview button here. And then once you hit the live kind of the live view there, you can see the galaxy a little bit closer, so you can toggle things off. And again, you can see how these little small nebulosity areas are pink, and when you toggle it on, they get a little bit more intense in pink. And again, if you're doing it live, you can reduce it and have just as as little pink saturation in there if it was too much. Here is normal how the image came initially, or you can increase it just to have that little extra bump there. So if you're happy with that, just go ahead and click back on your actual image, and go ahead and hit execute. Alright, and if we don't need our preview anymore, you can just delete that preview. And so if we hit our actual zoom to fit button, it will bring it back to where it's at full view, and pretty much we are done with this image. You know, we really like the color saturation of the galaxies and the stars. We like the noise level of the background. It's real nice and smooth. But if you look at this image, it's really impressive how much you can actually do as far as sharpening and adding color to this image from start to finish. So actually, if we look at our original image here and zoom it in and see what we started with, we really have a lot of blurry and really blown out cores and not a lot of information that you have to see there. But really, if we close that out and really work on this image just a little bit, we can bring out some real fine details. So once you're happy with that image, you can go ahead and save it as, and I will save this as M81, M82, final edit, and save it as a TIFF or whatever format you like. Make sure you unclick those and hit OK. And then let's go ahead and just open it up and view it in full view just so that you can see it there. And so that's our final image. I hope you're able to take some of the things I did here in this tutorial and apply them to your next galaxy that you shoot and edit, and hopefully you'll be able to get some great results. So we'll see you next time, and keep on looking up at the sky.
I want to thank Christopher Gomez for showing us his step-by-step processing on M81 and M82. Go visit his YouTube channel, and he has some great videos on astrophotography there. If you have an astrophotography tip or trick and you would like to share them here on Astrophotography Tutorials, send me an email to dhubble@gmail.com and I will help you get started, and we'll create your video here. If this is your first time watching, I would like you to subscribe. I publish 2 astrophotography videos on the 1st and 15th of every month. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you soon.